Well, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Collier Neely. I am the Executive Director for the Landmarks Foundation of Montgomery and also Executive Committee member for Your Town, Alabama, who is hosting this webinar today. This is the first one of 2022, but we have several others back that we recorded in 21 that live on our website. I encourage y'all to go check those out. We also have a big announcement. Registration is open for the 2022 Your Town workshop. It is that last week of April at Camp McDowell in its traditional place. This is the first time we've been able to hold the website in the last couple of years, or the website, I'm sorry, the workshop. We're really excited about it. Those dates again are April 27th, 28th, and 29th. And you can register at the Your Town website. So today we have a good friend of the organization, a good friend of mine, Gina Clifford from Design Alabama. She is going to talk about some of the things that Design Alabama has been doing around the state and some of the things they've got to offer communities they haven't been to yet. So Gina, thanks for being here. Take it away.
Okay, well, thanks. I'm excited to be with you all today. I'm glad to be and excited to be the very first one for this year. As Collier mentioned, Design Alabama has done a lot of work over the last 30 plus years of their existence with Your Town, Alabama, and a couple of the other organizations. Some of you all may be familiar with ACE, Alabama Communities of Excellence, and Main Street as well. And so we all work together to do a lot of great things for our communities. And Design Alabama's piece really focuses on the design part of it. And so I want to just walk you all through how we do that, who we are, and some of the ways we promote design throughout our state and the ways your communities can get involved as well. So let's see. I'm going to get started. Y'all, please feel free to ask questions. Oh, I went a little ahead. Okay, so we're going to talk just about Design Alabama and the impact and importance of our organization through the years. This is just a brief description of who we are. We're a statewide nonprofit organization who has been a part of Alabama's fabric for over 30 years plus. We were established in 1987 as part of the Alabama State Council on the Arts, and we still serve them as a partner organization and work to serve and promote that design art piece for the State Arts Council, whereas they do lots of your typical kind of what you're thinking, ballets, dance, art, and other things like that. So we handle the design piece of that for the Arts Council, as well as the other organizations that we work with across the state. We are what we call a design arts advocacy group. We are advocating for the arts across the state. We do that in a number of ways, and we'll talk about those ways here in a couple of minutes. But Alabama is really blessed. We're one of the only states in the country whose Arts Council supports and promotes a design component. We're known both nationally and obviously statewide as a design leader in promoting design arts to our communities. Y'all would be shocked at how many times I get phone calls from folks out of the state who are aware of our organization and the other groups that we work with and want to learn from what we're doing in Alabama. Alabama is really ahead of the curve on the work we do and provide for communities throughout our state. It's really nice. I mean, I've heard from groups out of Kentucky, out of New York, North Carolina, Mississippi. It's really nice to know that we're ahead of a lot of folks with the work that we all do. You know, and as a result of this, we are well known, but we've also had a long history and a long period some great programs throughout the years, and then also creating some great design partnerships with other organizations. So, just a very quick definition of design. It's the creation of a plan or convention for the construction of an object or a system. And that's a little detailed, maybe more so than we want to really talk about here. But I think the first part of that really tells you all what Design Alabama does. Is really, we work to create plans for communities. And we do that using the design art. And we incorporate all of them in the things that we do with communities. Graphic design, landscape architecture, planning, engineering, industrial design, interior design, and urban design. We really try and promote all of these, knowing that every one of these plays an important role in creating a whole community and a whole vision for a community. So what is Design Alabama and why is design important? I think some of you may already realize why design is so important. This to avoid things like this. I mean, you see this all across the state, the country, it's in every community. And a lot of you probably have seen this at a Your Town event before if you've been. I borrowed this from our friend Cheryl, that image. And to stop things like this happening in our communities. But we want to create great places for our community members to gather as well. And for tourists, other people coming in. We want green spaces. We want to revitalize buildings for uses. And enhancing what we have, not only keeping the bad from happening and creating these spots, but we really want to enhance what we already have in our communities and building on those community assets and what makes us special. And the main way that Design Alabama does this is really through a common community vision. We emphasize community involvement in every one of our programs. So we mentioned we're doing this through a community vision through our programs. And now I want to just shift a little bit of focus to some of those programs and how we're doing that. So we promote designers and the work we do in the communities through a monthly online journal that goes out that premiered in 2009, distributed monthly, and goes out to a little over 2,000 people in and outside of Alabama. And it features stories and projects that are going on across our state. Another way that we work to really advocate the designers that were homegrown in our state is when we celebrated the bicentennial a couple of years ago, Design Alabama created a website called design200.org, and you can visit it. And there we featured 200 stories on the special people and places that have really helped to put design in Alabama on the map. And so it's a really neat and fabulous website to kind of dig into the history of design in Alabama and some of the current folks working in Design Alabama as well. One of the biggest programs, and a lot of you may be familiar with the Design Alabama Mayor's Design Summit. This is a program we have been doing for 16 years now, and it's a one-time-a-year event. It's a 2-day workshop where we invite 5 mayors from across the state to work with a team of 5 designers, also from across the state with a wide range of backgrounds. We have architects, we have planners, we have economic development folks, all in the room. And it's a real facilitated conversation about communities and their design and how that can help influence economic development, tourism, and other things happening in their community. As I just mentioned, we're working on number 16. We'll be hosting that next week. So we've been doing this for 16 years. It continues to grow and be successful. During that time, we've helped 79 mayors get a little more familiar and comfortable with the word design and the word planning for their communities, and understanding the impact of good design and what that can do. And we've had nearly 70 communities participate over the 16 years as well. By the sheer nature of politics, mayors come in, mayors go out. And so sometimes we have mayors from duplicate cities participate, which is fantastic, because it tells us that they're committed to continuing on what their predecessor wanted to do in terms of good planning and good design. We also began to recognize that there was a need for more work in the communities. A lot of our small towns needed just a little bit of help and a little bit of a jump start. And so we have created a tiered program of 3 programs called Design Dash, Design Vision, and Design Place. And I'm going to talk about each of those here. Design Dash is our kind of our lowest end community program, if you will. It's a very quick single day blitz of design with community members and a group of design professionals. We've had the privilege of doing this program one time so far. It was just introduced last year in the town of Double Springs. And we looked at a spot in their downtown and how that could become a community gathering spot and a potential pocket park. And so we brought in 4 team members, and we literally spent a day doing design work and also meeting with the community members. So we spent the morning with community members, gathering ideas and seeing what they wanted to see in that space. We were able to walk the site with the community members as well. And then we really got down in it. We had the community members offer design ideas after that. And then our community members left. Our team spent the rest of the afternoon working and creating a really great first stepping point for the town of Double Springs, something that we feel could gather community support, that the community could get behind, that they could use for fundraising, for grants, and then just to move on to the next step with other design professionals as well. Our other program, one of the other ones I should say, is Design Vision. Design Vision is a workshop we do once a year in the fall, and that's in partnership with Auburn University's Urban Studio. And these workshops are 2-day events that are community oriented as well, and work within the fall curriculum of the Urban Studio. So this gives up and rising design professionals in the state an opportunity to get out of the studio in Birmingham and go into our communities and work. So we've done a couple of these already with Auburn University and Alex Crumdyke and the crew up there. We have worked in South Fairhope. We have worked in the little town of Wadowee, Alabama as well. And our very first one was in Camden, Alabama. And I love to kind of, you know, cheer on the little town of Camden. They have been so successful and what has happened since our time in their community. And again, one of the things I want to go back and emphasize is this community vision. Our time in Camden really has helped grow a lot of things in that community. All it took was that time for people to be together, and the idea that, yes, everyone in the community wanted to see some things happen, that they would support people who were willing to get out and do some things in their community. And so the fruition of that is really starting to take place in that community. I love to also brag on this little shop, the Pecan on Broad, which is a store and a restaurant in Camden. The guys who have started this business attended the visioning event that we had in Camden. They had already thought about purchasing this building and reinvesting in the town of Camden. They weren't even from Camden. They bought a second home in Camden. They were from Mobile, fell in love with the town, wanted to see it grow and continue moving forward. They attended the charrette. Our team of students and their teachers and professors said, look, this is a prime building that something should happen at. And so they have created this restaurant that, again, people have driving from all over to be a part of. And it has really started the development of that downtown. They've got murals happening. They own another shop across the way. They are creating a small pocket park in that community as well. All from a community visioning process. The other opportunity that we have for communities to work with us is what we call Design Place. And this is the only program that does have a prerequisite, and that is you had to have had a mayor in your community attend the Mayor's Design Summit. It can be the current mayor, it can be the mayor, before, but that is the only prerequisite. And it just helps us because this is a little more of an in-depth walkthrough with the community, and it helps for us to have that previous relationship as we move forward in that history as well. But Design Place is an intensive 3-day process where we have 2 community come and go events. The first one is an opportunity for community members to tell us what they want to see happening in their community. And from that, our team of design professionals takes the next 2 days to really work and put out some preliminary ideas about community planning, community design, community branding. And then we offer an opportunity for the community to give feedback on that initial designing phase on the 3rd day when we are in their community. Then we return 3 to 4 months later with a final report to that community after our design team has worked and fine-tuned everything that they came up with originally. This is something we have also seen success in communities with. The city of Opelika adopted the branding logo that came from their Design Place immediately. They put that into action. The city of Troy is beginning to do some work on the historic Academy Street School in their community, which was the focus of our time there as well. And we're beginning to see some other communities slowly take those steps to get these things done, some of the projects that we have talked about in their communities. Of course, these big scale projects take time, but the first step in doing that is helping to create a community vision that the community can get behind, that can then help you find those champions to keep pushing it forward, to possibly help with funding and other resources to make these things happen down the road. This is just a couple of images from our report in Opelika. This was our very first Design Place back in 2017. And that's kind of where we are, and that's what we're doing. And this is us. If you have any other questions or want to get in touch with us, we had a great video to show you about our Design Place program as well. Collier and I were talking beforehand, and he shared with me that videos often don't work on this format. So if you would like to see that video, you can go to our website and look under programs, and we would love for you to do that. So I am open to any questions or comments that anyone may have.
So we have one question. It's from Chasey Hadaway.
Okay.
Is there a population criteria for Design Dash or Design Vision?
Okay, so no, neither one of those have population requirements at all. The programs have a low cost. The Design Dash is a $3,500 administrative fee. And that covers all of the costs to the community, except for maybe lunch, if you provide lunch to the design team. Design vision, there's a little more cost involved. It's a $6,000 administrative fee. And then there are some additional costs as well, possibly hotel rooms for the team of students, depending on the location, and then some food as well. So those costs vary, but there is a set administrative fee for the program, as well as design place. Someone has asked, how does a mayor score an invite to the Mayor's Summit? So there is an application on our website. If you look under programs and then go to Mayor's Design Summit, there's an application, and those applications are due August 1st of every year. It's just a running rotation of August 1st, but you can submit an application at any time as well. So we select and then we invite through that application process.
And then here's one from Larry. In your experience, have any or some of the towns you have worked in expressed interest in complete street or cycling infrastructure?
I think complete streets is always a hot topic in the communities that we work with. I think a lot of them have an idea of what they want. They just don't quite know what it is. And so helping define that for them through the idea of complete streets or road dieting helps them envision that. And I think once you introduce that to them, then they get it. But I think most communities realize they want communities that are walkable and where everyone can get around. So I would say most of these communities we go into and work with, we always talk about connections and how we can connect to these other communities and the assets that they have, and how do those walks get shorter, and how do those bike rides get easier for people who may not have transportation. Because a lot of our small communities in Alabama do not have public transportation. And so they're really looking for ways that their community members can get around their community. So yes.
There's one from Chris Fry. Can you walk through some other examples besides Camden and Opelika of how communities use their design work to continue to work on projects, like get financing or something like that?
Yeah, so, and that's one of the things I wanted to mention is that a lot of times, obviously these projects take a while to get started, but when you have a vision and you have that initial work done, it's easy to go and get funding and to work through other funding opportunities. So one of the groups we always send people to is the Alabama State Council on the Arts. They provide funding for next steps and planning. They even provide some money in actual brick and mortar building as well. Then we send people who have been a part of our programs to other design professionals and other organizations that we are aware of that can help you. One of the big things we believe in is that our programs create connections for communities to then go out to resources that they may not otherwise know where to go or how to get there, but because we brought it to them, they have these contacts that can then help them reach out about funding and next steps in design. And we're always here for communities to help them in the next steps and to reach out and connect with them. Wadowee is a great example. They are doing a ton of stuff in their downtown. They already had a fabulous downtown, but it was again about that community visioning process for them. And it was bringing everyone in the room that they were working together. Now they have a merchants association, things like that, that are kind of these first steps in getting design and community work done. So I hope that answered your question, Chris.
All right. That's all the questions we've got right now. Are there any others? Okay. Well, Gina, thank you so much.
No, thank y'all for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. All right. Well, be looking out for the next Lunch and Learn with Your Town, Alabama. I also included at the very top of the chat a link to the registration page for the Your Town workshop. So I appreciate everybody. Hang on, looks like we have one more. I'm sorry.
Oh, okay, no, great.
Yeah. How well does Design Alabama engage with larger cities that may already have planning departments but could still benefit from the inspiration process?
Oh, that's a great question. So we actually have engaged a lot with larger cities who already have planning departments. Opelika is a great example. We did a design place in Gadsden as well. What we have found is a lot of planners are so busy, unfortunately, with kind of the regulation and the day-to-day stuff of it, that they often don't get to stretch out into the planning piece of it. And so when we're able to work with those communities and are invited into those communities, we have an opportunity to provide that piece for those planning departments. Gadsden is a great example, and that's the video that I didn't get to show. It's our work in Gadsden. And they have lots of resources and planning, but we were able to help them focus on a particular area in their community that may not otherwise have gotten really looked at because of the day-to-day things that so many planning departments deal with.
Yeah, that's great. I was actually on that Opelika team.
Yeah.
As working for the Alabama Historical Commission, and the public engagement pieces there were huge, and I think we had a great turnout both times. We spoke to folks. It was at the local library, and then working with the planners in Opelika, they were like almost giddy that they were getting to do this stuff. Yeah.
Well, and you were in Troy as well, and Melissa Sanders there. You know, it's something that she doesn't get to engage in very much, so it was good for her and her community as well.
Yeah. Design Alabama is a great program. I've had fun on the design teams that I've been on, and then seeing the work that those teams have done and the products that they've been able to bring to these cities and watch those cities take them and grow with them. It's really amazing to see, really rewarding too. So I appreciate what Design Alabama does. And with that, we'll go ahead and end it. And then I want to take up any more of everybody's time. I really appreciate you all being here. Again, I threw the registration link for the Your Town workshop into the chat. We hope to see y'all at Camp McDowell at the end of April. And thanks for being here today. And thank you, Gina.
All right, thank you. And Melissa, I see your question and I'll answer it 1 second. You want me to just do that on the side?
Yeah, go ahead and throw it up. Yeah, that's fine.
Okay. So she asked, this is a great question, what about a city that does not have a downtown? So we've worked with, several cities who don't have a downtown per se. The city of Priceville is a great one that we've worked on. I think Ben may have hopped off, that Ben Weisman worked with us on that project. And it's about still identifying in a community the assets that could help create that kind of special spot in your community. And so we've done that in Priceville, but we've also looked at ways of helping create a downtown off the main state highway in communities as well. So we have definitely worked with communities who do not have a downtown. So Ben is still on here, and he might could kind of answer that question as well about working with communities through these programs without downtowns.
I see Will O'Connor's having some issues.
Yeah.
There's the link one more time, Will. Okay. All right. Well, if there aren't any more questions, I think we're getting out of here in time with passion. So thank y'all. And we'll see you later on.
Okay. Thank you, everybody. Please feel free to contact or email, call with any other questions. We'd love to help you.
All right. And what is y'all's website, just real quick?
Oh, yeah. designalabama.org.
That's pretty easy. All right.
Yep.
Cool. Thank you.
Thank y'all.
Bye.